That's right. It's another late night and time for another reach into the Just Giggle It grab bag. And tonight we're pulling out Manitowoc County Frame Shop, a Making a Murder parody. Number 53. Yeah.
You're much more excited about this than I am, Dragon, but I still found this sketch really, really funny, even though I'm not big into making a murderer. So, yeah.
Yeah, for those who may not be aware, just Giggle It. In the history that they've been around, they've done two parodies of Making a Murderer. Because Making a Murderer since 2015 has been kind of all the rage since its debut. Basically, out of all the Netflix shows, not counting the Marvel stuff, it's one of those shows that basically got a lot of notoriety from being just one of those. Well, if it's on Netflix, why not check it out? And it was kind of an intriguing show. It was very well executed, essentially, and kind of stuck in the consciousness, and it was very topical. And there have been a lot of imitators, a lot of
I
parodies,
have
a lot
no
of.
reason to have not watched it yet. It's just one of those like you can only watch so many things in your life, and like I really need to get on it, especially with season 2 coming out. Like I said, I have no excuse to have not by now.
I know.
But
I remember I've kept telling you about season one, Tiggy, and the endings of every episode. That's the hook, man. They it's so well it's conveyed the story.
Dragon, at some point, I'm gonna have a sick day, like where I'm gonna be sick in bed, and I'm just gonna be like, all right, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it.
I mean, I love the storytelling of that first season. Season two looks like it's gonna be bombastic and different. So I'm very excited for this week because basically I won't be able to watch Daredevil until Saturday. Friday, I'm binging Making a Murder. That's my plan.
Remind me when Daredevil's dropping.
Same day. It's the 19th, so it's this week.
So Friday.
Yeah, they're both coming out on Friday.
Cool, cool. All right.
Anyway, so the point is, this came out first. It's in the history of the parodies that they've done. They did this one first, and then they did the one that to be honest, I still like the other one that we've done better, but that's just from if you know the show, then you're gonna love that one more. And I think it's just kind
I was gonna say that's funny because I like this one better, and I don't know the show, so I feel like this one's more accessible.
I mean, that's the thing. Don't get me wrong. This one's good. Here's the thing: like Joshua Thomas's performance of the two things. The Ken Kratz children's story time was the other one, and we've already covered that because I wanted to make sure. The first season in which we did the grab bag, it was the parody I picked because I was very looking for the fifth episode, I believe. We did that one because that's still probably my most rewatched and probably one of my favorite of all the Just Giggle It videos. Period. I love that video so much just because it's twofold. One, Joshua Thomas just becoming Ken Kratz amazingly, and it's hilarious and it's dark and it's twisted. And the thing that kills me about the reason I rewatch is Piper Henson in that is just like that's when I kind of fell in love with Piper Henson and her acting capabilities because what she does in that is so she conveys utter terror and discomfort from Ken Kratz in every way imaginable, and it's hilarious. She's like this grade school teacher who's terrified by the guest speaker, who she's realizing throughout the things like it was such a mistake to bring this creepy guy here. So I still that's the absolutely as much as I love Harley Quinn, the Joker versus the Real World, which we should plug momentarily. But that to me is probably the most rewatchable for me personally of all the Just Giggle movies. I will rewatch that video when I'm just like I'm just going through all the videos and Just Giggling before I watch the main one. Like I might go to that one just for the heck, just for giggles, like let me see Piper Henson how much he dazzles in that one. Let me see.
All right. So
Speaking of
Dragon, what here and do our own personal nature box. Plug Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World.
All right, folks, do you like the Joker? Of course you do, because why wouldn't you? One of the greatest villains in all of history. Do you like Batman the Animated Series? Of course you do, because you have excellent taste. And who is a character synonymous with Batman the Animated Series? Why, Harley Quinn, of course, 25 years going strong.
Someone watching, he's just like, I prefer Brave and the Bold.
Well, you know who's on Brave and the Bold? Paul Dini. You know where Paul Dini got to start? Batman the Animated Series. And you know what everybody loves about Batman the Animated Series? Paul Dini's writing on the Joker and Harley Quinn. Do you like those two characters? Certainly you do. I have great news for you. Just Giggle It, sketch comedy pioneers extraordinaire. They've done a phenomenal service. They've in just a series of great sketch comedy. They've done something next level. They've given us a web series. a web series about these two characters. Not only is funny and kind of like, oh, let's put them in some different funny situations. It has grit. It has storytelling capabilities. It's taken these characters in uncharted waters. It's called Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world. It takes these two characters, these beloved iconic figures that everybody loves. You're going to see a billion Harley Quinns at any Comic-Con you go to. You're going to see Jokers as far as the eye can see, so long as they're not Jared Leto, all over the place. And folks,
is Jared Leto Joker like a faux pas at Comic-Cons now?
well, I mean, you'll see a couple, but I mean, it's basically for people who like the look more than they like. You get a sense even when they dress up like him, they like the look more than they do the character. They won't say it, but you can kind of feel it. Anyway, my point. Folks, basically, we take these two characters and they put them in L.A. and it's not just like a one-off. It's like kind of like oh, so funny. Like there, it's like an L.A. it's like an L.A. Reality show. Ha ha ha. No, it's not that at all, folks. We're taking Harley Quinn and Joker from Gotham City. They moved to LA to kind of get away from it all and kind of start life anew, face the new challenges of the world. And there's some mysterious reasons that we're not quite privy to yet. But the point is, it's a great show that puts these iconic characters in a really fresh location. They have a roommate named Addison. It's great. It's putting these great pillars of storytelling into a completely new environment and these mundane situations and seeing what would Joker do. What would Joker and Harley Quinn do in this situation? You get to see that unfold for 5 episodes, and you're going to love those episodes. You watch in the first episode, you get to episode 5, which for our money is probably the best. And you're going to be at the end of episode 5, and you say, you know what? I want more. Where can I get more? You're going to bug Joshua Thomas and everybody in the comments. And folks, we love you for watching those live streams, but just don't ask the obvious questions. You know why? Because I'm going to give you the answer to that question right now. You don't have to pester anybody. So, folks, to the smart listener that I know you are listening right now, here's what you do. You're going to get to the end of episode 5, and you're going to remark to yourself, I want episode 6. Why is episode 6 taking so long? Where is it? Where? Well, the answer is it's being worked on. There are scripts. The script has been printed out. The script has been distributed. Scripts, not just for episode 6, for like episode 6, 7, 8, a few down the line. The whole scene's been plotted out, essentially, and it's in the process of being filmed right now, but you won't see it until one very easily accomplished thing happens. You get that view count. Emphasis, view count, as in just watch it. Get the view count on that video to 1 million. Right now, it's roughly 200,000 and growing. At this point in time, it's going to hopefully it's even further up there than the last time I checked. But folks, we get that view count up to 1 million. Those episodes are a lock. They're going to happen. The view count will skyrocket now, basically giving the green light for more episodes. And when we get that green light, my God, the green's going to be flowing in. The green, the white, the red, all the colors, purple. They're all going to flow, and we're going to get more episodes. It's going to be great. And believe me, folks, I've got a peek at a few of the script pages, a few of the episodes. We got some great plots on the horizon. Just watch that show. Watch episode 5 especially. Get those views up to 1 million, and it'll be great. You'll be happy. Tiki will be happy. Collectively, we'll be happy. We'll recap those episodes. But even if we don't do it, just do it for yourselves. Enrich your lives. Celebrate these characters who have existed for more than 75 years. Verging on 80. Do it.
Well, to be fair, Harley isn't exactly 80 years old, but...
All right, fine. 80 and... roughly 80 and 25, okay?
All right.
Mr. Semantics. All right. So, all that said, Making a Murder, again, I can't recommend it any more highly to Tiki to check out as well. Now, in terms of who made this is important. We should note this. So, Jason Ramlo, the great and powerful Jason Ramlo, he wrote and directed this as well as the other Making a Murder sketch, so the other Making a Murder parody. And we know for a fact, Joshua Thomas confirmed this for us when we did the last the other parody, that he and Jason Ramlo have indeed, just to kind of stop us from asking questions we have already asked before, Joshua Thomas and Jason Ramlo, they have watched the series together. They watched it all the way through. And as far as they're concerned, at least as much as they would disclose in terms of their views on the series, I think they're kind of on the bandwagon that I'm on, where it's basically, it's a mishandled case to say the least, and they definitely jumped the gun and kind of saying, oh yeah, they're guilty before it was really proven in a court of law. I think we can all kind of be simpatico on that. And that's the thing about Making a Murder, Tiki's. A lot of people have varying opinions on it. Like, it was biased towards them, or it was, like some information was left out. Obviously, the people who were on the wrong side of the documentary are very much against it, saying, "Oh no, they didn't show all the information. They didn't ask us for an interview." And of course, they wouldn't want to be interviewed in the first place. It's kind of very full circle, like, it's a snake eating the tail of disappointment for those guys. But yeah, various varying opinions. I won't bog you down with all the thoughts and opinions and everything, how exactly everything goes. But let's see what you took away from it. So let's get this puppy started.
All right, so I feel like I don't need to know much about these guys, Dragon. They're bumbling sheriffs who just like to frame people.
Yeah, yes and no. So again, always take it with a grain of salt that these guys, so we're in Manitowoc County, we're seeing this frame shop, and I love the VHS quality for all this, by the way. The VHS quality kills me.
It's almost Saul-esque.
It is, and that's the thing. I love that. Just Giggle It. They do. It's something we've seen on Saturday Night Live so many times, but more accurately, Better Call Saul has done this perfectly to a T. And this reminded me so much of what they do with like the Saul Goodman Star Wipe commercial. This feels so much like a Saul Goodman Star Wipe commercial. So essentially, we meet Detective James Lank and Andrew Colburn, and I love this. I love that their credits beneath that when they appear in the video, it says professional framer and assistant framer, because the idea is like they both are theorized of having planted evidence that frames Stephen Avery for his crime. Because the idea, Tika, in the grand scheme, and you've seen episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Well, again, without getting into like all the details, the very simple premise is that Stephen Avery, years ago, like around 85, like decades ago, around 85, he was misidentified and he was put in the prison and exonerated after the DNA evidence was in its early inception. So eventually, the DNA evidence was discovered, and they got him out. And then, like basically, as he was suing Manitowoc County. As he was suing he was suing the sheriff's department that put him there unjustly. He then, as he was following that lawsuit after he's gotten out years later, his property, a dead body was found on his property, and basically these guys were first on the scenes, and James Lank, Sipka playing the bald guy on the left. He was involved in the previous case that got him in there in the first place, and he had no business being in that place on the crime scene. Therefore, the evidence was found that got Avery in trouble yet again and got him involved in this murder case. And people believe that he planted the key and such that you see later. All the evidence that is referenced in this, that that these two knuckleheads framed them.
Gotcha.
So the grand scheme.
Yeah, I pretty much picked up on that just by watching the sketch, but
absolutely. And there's always that question of how much of it's conspiracy versus incompetence, and that's the big question of it all. Like, it's really a no-win situation for the sheriff's department of Manitowoc, where it's like, are they stupid or are they corrupt? That's I'm on the edge. I'm on the stupid end of it. I think they're more stupid than corrupt, but that's just me. I don't think it was necessary. I don't think it was a frame-up. I just think it's lazy police work, and they're just kind of like, especially Coburn, the guy that Joshua Thomas is playing on the right. The idea and kind of what he conveys there, but he adds like a sinister edge to him. Coburn, he was put on the stand, and he was the face of the frame-up, and he was the dumb. Out of the two of these guys, he's the dumber of them. And he was essentially he was grilled with all like obvious. Why were you there in the first place, and why did you have information before it was revealed? They're sounding like it was a plant. Mm-hmm. So. Without getting too into it, that's kind of what we're working with here. Again, these guys are very much face value. They're frame artists in publicly, and that's the main accusation lobbed at them. If it's a conspiracy, these guys frame them.
All right.
So
when we're not serving up a hot plate of Manitowoc County justice, you can find us framing photos.
God, so this the whole premise of like the frame as in like a literal frame, it's so absurd yet so funny. What they're doing is it's a satire on it's such a hilarious. Sorry, breaking down the comedy, what we like to do here on the grab bag. There's such a great element of satire and parody in all of this. I mean, it's this fun, absurd premise of like, just what if they on the side had the side business of framing things while they're actually doing literal framing. It's just such a ridiculous.
I get the sense that these people are so incompetent and bad at their jobs that they would think nothing of it.
That's the thing. Again, depending where your view on that is, whether they're just evil and just like planting evidence, or they're just like stupid and like thinking they can get away with this on the side too. It's like that's the thing.
Like, taking it's like they don't even really realize.
Yeah, and again, taking like any opinion of it off the table, is looking at it at face value. It's just a ridiculous idea of these guys who are obviously talking about literally framing somebody while they're doing this. They have this frame, this picture frame shop. It's hilariously absurd, yet they commit to it so much. It's like this idea of like these small town sheriffs just I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. So we have this great line by Joshua Thomas here saying you're probably thinking the two small town sheriffs don't know the first thing about framing people. You're probably
white. Right.
Most sheriffs couldn't frame an 8x10. I just love that line so much. Again, that's the Tiki, that you get the gag. Right? That's the satire. It's hysterical.
Yeah, I get the gag.
I love it. So
if you try and get your photo framed up in Calumet County without our help, we wouldn't let that happen.
And Tiki, that's the great. If you know the show, then that line's
even. There's some bad blood in Calumet County.
Well, that's the gag. Link, like the first thing that got Avery in trouble was in Calumet County, which means when all of the stuff went down, they were out of their jurisdiction. They're supposed to be in Calumet. They were
okay.
That's the gag, and that's what that's a reference to. But there's like the point is, like, we have a lot of really strategic name drops that add to the comedy. But even taking that out of the equation, you do have a lot of comedy that again, like all the comedy does work at face value, and I really respect that about this. That you can watch this without knowing the show, and it works flawlessly. So
yeah, like I found plenty of enjoyment out of it, and I didn't really, get the point of reference. So.
I love in the delivery. We gotta highlight the delivery. Of course, we have Mark Sipka here as his link, and of course, I think it's a good bald cap on him. By the way, what do you think?
I think it's a really convincing bald cap, actually.
I love his old man voice. I just love him doing that old man. Again, Sipka is the master of impressions and kind of character voices on Just Giggle It, and I think this is like a testament to that. Like, well, we'll get to it when we get to the ending, but yeah, it's. Again, Joshua Thomas, like the hair's a little bit short on the real guy, but again, he's awfully close, and it's so funny considering he was like a spot on Ken Kratz, and here he's he's Coburn. So
all right, so no problem. We'll whip it up. What?
No problem's gonna be really important getting to the end. So I love that no problem's like set up here.
Yeah. We'll whip up an uncanny likeness of your photo by a professional sketch artist.
So one thing real quick before we go on, because this is throughout the whole thing with the performances that we got to highlight. I love that we have this great precision pause right after they laugh, like right before or after they laugh. So it's like they're talking to the camera, and then there's like this. It's like this little it's discomfort and uncomfortableness in the performance where they just kind of like they look to camera, and it's like before they kind of laugh something off. It's like it's a pause at just the right moment.
Mm.
A lot of these, and then so Eugene the Pencil Cush. So Eugene the Pencil. So that the picture they used, Tiki, the sketch, like that little the rendering of Stephen Avery. That was from the first case in '85 from that first episode. The point is like this guy he showed the witness he showed the girl who was assaulted a sketch of Avery before they had they led her on with they showed her this before the sketch was actually done. And that's the idea. This sketch is what started everything. This sketch got it started the whole bowl in the first place.
Gotcha.
So just Eugene the Pencil Cush, and they're making him so light and jovial. Like you can just have an artistic rendering done, no problem.
And that's you can choose from all kinds of high quality frames.
Yep. Of course, with the high quality frames, and then we see some terrible. And of course, with these high quality frames, we see cheap and terrible wooden frames falling to pieces.
Hey, those frames looks a little shoddy. That's why we have Bumbling Sherry. Now, please, Dragon, explain Bumbling Sherry.
Bumbling Sherry is delightful.
This where I didn't really have any sort of like, okay, this is probably something I need to watch the show for.
Iggy, trust me, when you see this, you're gonna love this because this is the thing. I forgot about this till a rewatch. I go back to the Ken Kratz one more than this one, but when I went back to this one after a while, Sherry, Tiki, when you watch the show, eventually you're gonna see Sherry's so ridiculously on the money to what she is here because Sherry. So Sherry, so. In the again, I know I hope it's not too confusing to you. Again, like the one case with the sketch and the thing in '85. That's the thing. It's like
no. I get it.
Point is, in the second case, that basically is like the other 9 episodes. The second case, Sherry is in that, and Sherry was the DNA tester. She's the one of all the stuff that they use that possibly has been framed, all the evidence that was found that was possibly framed. She processed and she botched it up big time. Like, again, this is where the incompetency really comes in, Tiki, and that's what Sherry is here. Sherry is either incompetent or just doesn't give a crap about her job, and that's what the actress does here with the performance, which, by the way, very small mini rant against Just Giggle It here. Either Piper Hinson is in ridiculously good makeup, or they need to fix their credits for the episode because the credits seem really off for the episode. I think just listed random Just Giggle It actors. I don't know if all of them are really in this video because it says Poncio's in this. I couldn't find like Jesse McBride and Poncio are in this, but unless their hands, I really don't.
Shocked if Poncio was in this.
That's what I'm saying. Unless their hands or something, I don't think they're in this.
Right.
I think they screwed up on the credits, and that's the thing is I doubt that's Piper Hinson. But again, Sipka's makeup job makes me wonder. Like, is it a remarkable makeup job? Who knows? And again, I'm not just like throwing Piper Hinson at random. I'm saying because she's on that list of credited actors. I'm assuming that's her because there's only one female in this whole thing. But okay, anyways, the point is Sherry. So the bumbling Sherry is absolutely on the money here. And she was on the stand after the DNA, and what happens to her here is that you see her gluing the frames back together with DNA, which the DNA stands for Doctor New Evidence. And to fix any holes in your story, I mean frames. So with that line, I like that we have
my hand to the frame.
So that's the Tiki. That's the bumbling bit right there. So what happened was Sherry, the actual DNA tester, Sherry, she used her own DNA. She was teaching a class, like teaching some new forensic guys, some newbies in the forensics, how to take DNA with an active case, which is a mistake in itself. And what happened was
that's some bullshit.
To demonstrate this, she used her own DNA as a point of comparison. So her DNA was entered into the thing, hence the hand, like her own DNA from her hand or something. Was introduced, and basically the idea is like she mixed her DNA in with the only sample, and basically what happens after this is when they ask her, she says, "I glued my hand to the table. Do we have any more left?" No, and that's what happened. They didn't have any more DNA left to test the thing with, so again she botched the whole thing, and that's what happened in the actual case.
You see, I knew there were pieces of the bumbling Sherry thing that I wasn't getting.
And T, again, with the wig and everything, the performance, she is exactly like this. And then that's the thing, like she's on the stand, she's like an idiot on the stand admitting to how stupidly she botched everything up. And it's either she doesn't give a crap at all, like, well, no, that like doesn't have any remorse, nothing. It's just like, yeah, it just happened. It's pretty much it, you know. That's what happens out there. And again, I like to throughout this, even like when they're saying like, you know, in the story, I mean, in the frames, there's that self-realization within the ads. You get a sense of this growing self-awareness that happens throughout the whole parodies, and by the end, they're going to get super self-aware to the point where Sherry calls it out at the very end. So I like that we're building that as we're going through. So I just wanted to note that because I feel that's really cool. And of course, after the whole, I used it all up. They capture again. Says, "Oh, good. It's we're good to go, and it's good to go, and still admissible to your living room." Wink,
wink.
Yeah. We also have that great. Again, it's not a star wipe, but we have that great kind of transitioning effect. Remember, it goes to like the little it's like I guess it's like a cross or something where it kind of splits off from the frame. It's like a star wipe, but a different shape. You know.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So then we have the bedazzling array of accents to add. Sorry, it's just So, but we have a bedazzling array of accents to add to your frame, to each frame. And the idea is like they're the adding stuff like the key, which the key is the huge centerpiece. The key is the thing that these guys found when they went on the premises and searched for evidence. They found a key, and that was the point. Is like that's one of the huge first pieces of evidence in the whole trial. So that you see a key, and you see, and let me point it to you this way. I won't say how because I don't want to spoil one of the best parts of the whole series for you. Let's just say there's they're putting blood on the frame too, and the blood in the vial is very important. So that's being kind of being smeared on the frame too, and I feel like the blood looks really kind of. I think that you should use like real fake blood or something because this looks like watery glitter. I don't know if that's kind of the point they're getting at with it or what. It just looks really fake.
Mm-hmm.
And with every purchase, you get 200. You get a 200% guarantee. I wonder if that's a reference. I couldn't remember. 200% sounds like that's a reference to something, but for life of me, I can't remember off the top of my head. But it has to be a reference to something in the series. I don't know. So, if one frame falls apart, and we see a picture of we see the old picture of Stephen Avery from the first trial. That's the gag. Like, hey, this happened the first time. These cases are completely unrelated. There's no frame up going on here. That's the gag. If the first frame falls apart, then then bring it on down. We'll fix that frame. We'll fix the frame.
No, see, I got this. I at least understood this.
Then you see the older Stephen Avery from the second case, and we'll fix the original, and sorry, this is great. We'll fix the original and throw in a second photo at no extra charge. Now, Tiki, I won't get into it here, but let's just say. The other frame is the nephew, Brendan Dassey, who that's the big tipping point in everything. He's very.
Okay, I've heard things about this. I've heard things about the nephew, so yeah.
I have opinions about the nephew, but that's the but yeah.
Okay.
The point is Dassey is a huge part of the piece, and that's why they worked him in there because again Dassey is half the reason for the Avery stuff happening. So.
Okay, gotcha.
How's it going?
And then we get basically a series of gags where it's like it's kind of an escalating, no problem.
Yeah, and this is funny. I'm convinced that Joshua Thomas is doing an impression of the Dassey boy with what Coburn's doing here, because it sounds a little bit like Dassey. I don't know if it's just Coburn being dumb or if it's him mimicking Dassey. It sounds similar. It works either way. I think it's more Dassey, though, which makes it kind of more offensive and funny. So he says... So basically, what if because the idea is that Dassey recanted his testimony a lot in the thing, and that's what he's bringing up here. He says, but what if the photo recants its testimony? And of course, what if the photo? It's just a ridiculous. Basically, they're breaking the frame conceit at this point. It's getting more and more ridiculous. What if the photo recants its testimony? Which again, that's the
no problem.
What if the main witness says that their testimony was a lie? No problem. What if you don't have enough evidence to support either testimony? And then basically we get to this chorus of, and this is my favorite part of what Sipka's doing in this whole thing here. Just this intense, like, no problem, just doing the old blank voice. What if the defense attorney's working for the prosecution? Then we get a lot of no problem.
Are we still talking about photos?
So I love that you could just leave it there with the discomfort. And again, they amp up. Again, this is the Just Giggle It stamp right here, Tiki. It's breaking that knob. It's the Spinal Tap approach to comedy. You rip the knob off of absurdity or darkness up to 11. You rip the knob off, and it's just like they could have just let it lie. But then Sherry comes in to state the obvious. Like, we're still talking about photos, and Coburn gives this haunting look to camera, and I love this because again, Coburn is just this very. And folks, look, again, let me just address this here just in case. Again, by all means, if anyone has a different opinion on Making a Murder, you're entitled to that. I'm all for addressing all possibilities. Like, leave in the comments or whatever if you disagree with this. But just the point is, I think collectively...
I have no stake in the Making a Murder controversy, just so you know. Take it up with Dragon.
I know, that's fine. Again, I encourage, like, anyone that's the thing. Hey, folks, if anyone has a different opinion, by all means, address all options. Address all possibilities, because they didn't do that in the case. We got to do that here. It's what we got to do. But my point is that the idea with Coburn is that whether you agree with him or not, just Coburn is traditionally he's not seen as the brightest bulb in the box. He's not the most articulate guy, and the idea of this either harmless or kind of like harmless in a sense of he's a nice guy, or harmless in a sense of he's a dumb guy. Going from just kind of harmless and kind of half-witted to this really sinister Joshua Thomas look as this really kind of harmless character is looking down for him saying, absolutely. I love that. So again, then they both drop the frames right after it. Absolutely. And they drop the frames because, of course, it's like, yeah, you're still talking about frames, yet they're dropping it to be dramatic. Drop the frame. So come on down to Manitowoc County where we frame you. And of course, we have like the subscribe tag and the subscribe tag with them and characters.
This is a really funny subscribe tag.
Yeah, you want that, Tom?
Yeah, sure. So basically, it kind of continues the commercial. So let us be your source to a lifetime of comedy, which I kind of take it as like a life sentence, right?
Essentially.
Yeah. Subscribe or we'll frame you.
Yep.
All right.
So what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are going to be more brief than yours, Dragon. I thought it was very enjoyable and very funny for the most part. I thought that I got all the jokes, but apparently I didn't. But I think that just goes to show that it works on multiple levels. You know what I mean? It works for someone like me who only knows kind of the basic premise of making a murderer and can kind of like coast by just on that. And then it works even better for someone like you because, of course, it's got like the bumbling Sherry and all the in jokes that you're not going to be privy to unless you've watched the series. And by that extent, I think it's a sign of a good parody because it works on both levels for the two of us.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think it's more. Here's the thing. I think it's more intricate and clever than the Ken Kratz one. The Ken Kratz one, but they're doing different things. I want to make that clear. See, Ken Kratz is still a lot of fun, still my favorite because again, that's running with a character and that's more kind of like comedy based on a specific character and works better if you know that character. But even if you don't, you can just sense there's something creepy about this guy and you can't place it. So either way, it kind of works. But this one is kind of an intricate cell of like, okay, something's off in Manitowoc County. You have this funny kind of framing thing. So basically, the main headline is still communicated. All the main points are still hitting. And it's kind of a good kind of. I think it's good, like a dipping the toe into what Making a Murderer is kind of about. So it's a decent summary of events and that communicates the comedy with all these great like Easter eggs throughout that I think kind of allow it to kind of extend itself further, but again, without getting in the, it's not tripping over itself to be like, hey, you get this? Do you understand all this? But it's kind of, I love the thought they put into it. It's like they have like the eagle-eyed gags in there, but even if they don't have those, there still works in that base level. Of, okay, it's a lot of double entendre comedy in a way of like it's a comedy with a double meaning. It's like you have something they're saying and they're communicating visually something completely different.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's just that cute. It's a cute gag of like, oh, they're it's about framing people, but they're just on the side. They have this little frame shop business, but there's like a dark underpinning to the whole thing. It just makes it. I find it so. It's great absurdist comedy, but it's like a great mix of absurdist comedy with really smart satire underneath of it all. So I think it's
yeah, for sure.
I thought it was delightful. Again, it doesn't make me want to revisit it a whole bunch of times, but I think it's like, yeah, did a good job there. It makes me hope that after season 2 they're going to do more Making a Murderer parodies. Who knows? Maybe.
All right.
So that said, I guess that does it for now until the next reach into the Just Giggle It grab bag.
Absolutely.